Might help if I turn my mic on. So, welcome back, shooters. Thanks for tuning in for another fantastic episode of Shootin Straight with JD and Joey. This week, we have another unique guest on the show, Malissa Galiffo Garcia. She's with Columbus Futsal and a big-time entrepreneur and leader in the scene here, at least in Columbus, and I'd say from my own personal experience in the Midwest. So we're very happy to have you on the show. Melissa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend here, Joe Williams. Joey, how we doing?
I'm fantastic.
Good to hear. So, for those that are new to the show, as always, if you look down beneath my giant body, there's our topics for the day. So we're going to have a long discussion here, a lot of stuff about futsal, which I hope most of you guys aren't aware of. It's one of the unique kind of offset sports of soccer. So a lot of good development skills can be learned there. And it actually has a lot of similarities between handball. So that's one of the interesting points of today's discussion. So Joey, I know you had a chock full of discussion. Well, actually, one question that CJ brought up in the chat that reminded me, Melissa, who ended up getting Luis's jersey on the when Luis's signed Columbus Futsal jersey?
A girl from Brazil.
Oh man. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
We had a lot of people enter for that giveaway, so that was
some good attention.
Exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a girl, like a fan in Brazil. I forget what part, but she got it.
Before we get into questions, like that's just a good question right off the bat. Why is Brazil, I would say, is Brazil like the founding country for futsal, or what is the draw with Brazilians to futsal? Because I know when I've been to your guys' games, huge Brazilian population, and I know it's pretty big and down in Brazil as well.
Yeah, it's actually not the birthplace of futsal. Uruguay was the birthplace of futsal, and which is right next to Brazil, but the Brazilians just kind of monopolized it and took it over, and they're the ones that have been able to use it and kind of put it on that world pedestal and produce, some of the greatest players that the game of soccer has ever seen. So the Brazilians are most noted for it, but it was actually originated in Uruguay.
As an Argentinian, I have to push back a little bit on the greatest soccer players, but yeah, that's
yeah. Well, I mean, really anything in that region.
Fair enough. That's a.
I mean, the Argentines use futsal too. So
really,
yeah, the Akron Vulcans team that was in our conference this past season had like 3 or 4 Argentine players.
Are they like transplanted? Like they're living in America?
No, they were actually signed from San Lorenzo to go play there.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And
it's getting big. Like futsal's getting big. Like the teams or the clubs here in the Midwest are really just done a 180 from 4 or 5 years ago. Like we're signing international players now and kind of bringing that stardom to our local gyms or our local community.
That's crazy. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's super cool. I guess we can backtrack here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in futsal, and I guess the origin story of the Columbus. Is it Columbus Futsal?
Yeah, Columbus Futsal.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of launched Columbus Futsal as a real club, a real organization in 2015. And prior to that, my husband was just running it as a local street soccer pickup group, or urban futsal, as you'll call it. So that's outdoors, just on concrete or, a hard flat surface. And for the better part of a decade, he had just ran it as a street soccer pickup group. He and his dad had just done some youth training here and there. And it was mostly a hobby and just something they were passionate about. They are actually from Peru, so they're Peruvian. So it was kind of in their culture and things like that. And they wanted to do that here. And so that's how it actually started and was founded. And then when I met Dante and we got married and we started doing things, he had actually been laid off from his job that year in 2015, and I was like, let's just do it. Let's just do futsal full time. Let's go all in. And we did. And in the last, 5 years, we've been able to evolve it into what it is today.
Which is an awesome product for those that don't know. It is amazing to see how it's grown so fast and so largely. I feel like if you go to one of the games, I've sent videos to Joey, and he's gone and checked out Lansing's facility. Unfortunately, due to COVID, couldn't go to any matches, but it's awesome. And what you guys have done in such a short amount of time, I know, like, there was a couple times we had some conflicts because we were trying to have handball practice because I lived close to Tuttle Park, and would go down there, and I was like, oh, they got handball goals, like, this is awesome. And so we'd start playing, and little do we know, Dante had his normal Friday night routine, and we're like, oh, my bad, you guys are like the regulars. We didn't know this was like
we've been there Friday night for 15 years almost, since 2006. But yeah, I mean, it's a shared space, so like anybody can really use it. I mean, it's at a public park, and it's made for the community. And we did work to get the goals down there. There actually were no goals down there before. When Dante started playing and they founded Columbus Futsal, there was just like these metal barrel trash bins. And so they would just play with the trash bins as a goal. And so essentially it's kick the can. If you hit the can, it was 1 point. And if you chipped it and made it into the can, it was 2 points.
Oh.
And so they'd play all night like that, every night of the week. He's just kind of taken that little space of the park under his wing and really like nursed it to what it is today since he was like, I mean, a kid, like 4 or 5 years old.
Holy cow.
So he's been there. His family had a restaurant like right around the corner. And so when they were all like running the restaurant and cooking or serving, like drinks at the bar or whatever, and working late, he would just walk there as a kid and just play and play and play and play. So,
that's awesome.
That's
awesome.
So cool.
How did you guys get, did you talk with Columbus Parks and Rec to get the like goals there? Because like to me, like I have like extra goals, USA Team Handball, that I'd like to maybe put somewhere in the community or stuff that we've built kind of thing. And I just don't know like where we could set something else similar so there's multiple spots, because like Tuttle Park's pretty centralized for the city, which is a huge perk that it's easy for a lot of people to get to. So I just don't know how that process goes about, so we get more and expand a little bit.
Yeah, we worked with them to get it there. Like each rec center has like a region or like an area that has like a community meeting. And so we just started attending those, and we just requested it.
Okay.
We just requested like, hey, can we do this? And right now we're in talks, which is kind of secret, but to resurface the whole area. So yeah. So we'll see.
Breaking news.
You heard it here first.
Right. So, but JD, I would try like one of the spots like on campus. Like,
okay.
Because you're already affiliated with OSU, I would try. There's like a caged in court on 12th.
Oh yeah, the roller rink there. I was gonna say that they we were working, one of the guys on our team, shout out Max Littman, the Columbus Armada guy that just got torched on Twitter. He is actually used to be on the board for like OSU Rec Sports as like a student liaison, and so he was pitching to get a handball court with like a roof at West Campus. And so they ended up putting, I don't know the last time you've driven by the arc, but there's actually now a roller rink back there that you have to go through the arc to get into. So that's the downside. It'd be specific to OSU students only, obviously, and there's also no roof. So if it's raining or whatever, snow, it might be a little tough. But 12th, I like that idea. We've actually had a lot of practices just on the hockey goals there before, and I know like it wouldn't hurt. I think a lot of people wouldn't mind. I can imagine. So cool. Joey, I know you had a whole slew of questions lined up, so I'd say just fire away.
Well, that the story of how you guys got started is like super cool. Like you hear about that stuff happening in South America where, guys are just meeting up at the park and, setting up some trash cans, and then, it grows and grows. But it's cool to hear that that's happening in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the growth of like the amount of players you guys have had and what that evolution has been like up to today?
Yeah, it's been pretty rapid. But I would say like the first year that we played as like an organized club and actually went to competitions, it grew from the first tournament or competition that we went to, we took 2 teams. And now that very same event, we're taking anywhere from 8 to 10 teams. So I think we took 10, 11 last time. And that wasn't even all of our teams, but those were the ones that we thought would do fairly well.
Man.
So
awesome.
we went from about 10 kids to like 125.
And this is just youth?
Just youth. That was just youth. Yeah.
Oh my word. Well, are these kids just soccer players that are looking to get extra practice, or is futsal now their primary sport?
So primarily, and how everybody gets involved is they want to be a better soccer player, or they're using it as a tool to develop their soccer skills. But now that it's been a few years, there are actually quite a few families and quite a few kids that are just like, you know what, like futsal is my thing. Futsal is my sport. I'm going to go all in on futsal. And they drop their other sports, or they're not as heavily involved in like club soccer, and maybe we'll just play it recreationally, or we'll just, do something like rec in the off season, but they're like, futsal is my thing. Like, that's it. I'm done for the rest of my life. Futsal is it.
Man.
So that's been an interesting experience. That's it. I mean, you can only like dream for stuff like that to happen, for people to fall in love with your sport that you're so passionate about. So that's been a really, really cool experience to just watch and just know that like you were a catalyst in somebody's life like that. It's unreal. It really is.
Incredible. You should be very proud of yourself and what you guys have built. That's amazing.
It's been fun, but challenging at the same time.
Segue on from last week's episode. If and when the Columbus Futsal movie comes out, what would you title it?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
No pressure.
Our slogan is "Play how the world plays," and I think that would be kind of neat.
Cool.
But
cool.
I don't know if you saw. Did you see like the guys at the game that were like doing all the videos and stuff?
Greg, right? East of Bend. I've talked to him a couple different times. So I talked with him at the game, and then last weekend we had handball or 2 weeks ago we had handball practice, and he was just playing there with his Columbus Futsal jersey on. I was like, "Hey, do I know you?"
It's Will.
Okay.
Will's his name.
Okay.
I think Greg is like his partner. They're like east of the Bend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does an amazing job, and he actually kind of spun that idea by us. He's like, with all this footage, like, what if I did a documentary of the season? And I'm like, yeah, but it ended abruptly because of COVID, right. But it could still be part of like the story.
Yeah, exactly.
What did sports teams do when this happened? But we don't have any footage after that.
So. I gotta say, I haven't been to a game yet, but just based on the quality of like footage and videos you guys put out, it's amazing. How is that? How is the role of like recording your story and putting it out there? How's that helped the club, or is it more just for posterity's sake?
No, they've done a great job. We used to, as entrepreneurs, when you start, you kind of wear like 18 hats and you do everything alone. Like you do everything by yourself until slowly people start getting involved and they just want to be a part of it because it's just so exhilarating. So, he's done an amazing job. They've done an amazing job doing like halftime interviews, post-game interviews. They help us stream the whole game for people that want to watch in Brazil or maybe like parts of Europe or any part of South America. Awesome. I guess you could watch anywhere. So they stream it for us. They do like all the video clips, all the post-game like video recaps, and each like video recap has a story. They just tell the story so well. So if you're at the game and you watch the video recap, it's not just like a video of hodgepodge highlights like put together. It's actually like being there and then watching it again through the video. It's the whole story, like all the emotions of the game, like the ups, the downs, like how you felt like sitting in the stands and just, or how you felt like being a player on the team, or what it was like from the huddles and what it was like from the bench. And they've really done an amazing job of not just throwing highlights together, but telling like the story of what it's like to be at a game, because it really is like an international experience almost. It's almost like if you went to another country and like watched this sporting event. Like when we played FC Trizub out of Chicago, they're primarily like Eastern Europeans, like Ukrainians. And so I remember after the game ended, our timekeeper and our announcer, who are in between the two team benches, they were like, that was like a crazy international experience, because this side was speaking all like Spanish and Portuguese, and this side was speaking all like Ukrainian and Russian. And we were just like, and it was a heated game too, but they got to like be immersed right in the middle of it. And it was just, it's crazy. So I think it's very like attractive in that sense. But I mean, there's obviously American guys like playing on both teams and American people involved, but it really is something different to experience.
It's, and having gone to the games, like, you know, you guys got Brazilian barbecue, you got the pit outside selling, you know, skewers and shish kebab kind of deals, and it's just really cool. And everybody's got flags and drums and, you know, horns and everything. Like, you go there and you're just like, holy cow, like I'm in this high school gym, but it feels like I'm in an arena packed with people just going nuts. And that's just like, they're just excited to see futsal. Like some of the people, and the fans get into it. Like I remember that Chicago game, and I was like ready for almost a fight to break out. I was like, holy cow, this is, and then the thing is handball has that same level of passion. You know, it's funny when you talk about it, because you'll talk about Eastern European guys who are like, oh, it's just passion. It's just passion. I'm like, you were about to murder that guy. I don't think that's passion. You're just taking a lot of pent up rage out. But yeah, it's really cool to see. And Joey and I are trying to like talk about ways that we can create that same kind of environment. And I think the thing that you guys benefit from is that when a goal is scored, it's like obvious, like, oh my gosh, like, and it's for those that don't know, like futsal, I'd say like an average futsal score is like high single digits, low teens. Is that a fair guess? Maybe like low teens, maybe?
I mean, honestly, that's really been something that like has become Americanized with the game. So the way that it's played here in America with a little bit of like the higher scores is different than you will see in Brazil or Europe. A good game is going to be like 3-2, 3-1, you know, 4-2, something similar to like a soccer scoreline, and not like a basketball scoreline. So, I mean, there's games where we've scored like 20 points. Oh, and that's not normal. Right. That's our home teams, or our team scoring a goal every 2 minutes. Which is so if you think about, if you're scoring every 2 minutes, how many shots did you take in between that? So it's just like, it's crazy. But I'd say international futsal game, you're going to see a lot lower scoring. The higher scoring has just been something that's just come with the territory of playing it in America. And I think like that American mentality, like score, or like bigger, faster, better, stronger, you know, kind of mentality. So that's just something that has just happened since we've been playing.
Do you think that, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, JD, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that the high scoring also has anything to do with the court size? Because I know that your guys' court is a little bit shorter than a normal futsal court. You got any input on that?
I think it does play a huge role in it. There actually is like minimum and maximum court size. I don't know if that's the same for handball.
Usually, yeah. I mean, normally a normal court is 40 meters by 20 meters, which I think is kind of the same, you know, court size for you guys, with a 6 meter arc, same deal, same size goal, 3 meters by 2 meters. So, you know, people are like, oh, is that, you know, this is weird basketball court. It's like, no, these are, you know, either futsal or handball lines. I mean, you can play both, same goal, same, the ball itself is almost the same size. A futsal ball, though, is a lot I would say like harder and heavier. It doesn't. I don't know. Like every time I've
It has
touched
reduced bounce, so
Okay.
it definitely feels a little bit different. But yeah, so when you guys did the handball exhibition game, how did you feel like playing in a smaller area?
We're kind of used to that actually with our practice at Ohio State, but it was definitely a little bit shorter than normal. But it's just kind of speeds it up a lot. So it just kind of makes you once you score or once you get a stop, you're already at the other end of the court. So the what's the word I'm looking for? Endurance for the course of the game. You can probably play a lot longer because you're not running as far. And so I think that plays also probably a good part with your guys' situation, that some of your better players might be able to stay on longer, might be able to produce more, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can have players that are a little older.
That helps.
Yeah, so you're kind of like in the same predicament as us. There's obviously hardly anything in the United States that is solely dedicated to like futsal or handball. So you just kind of have to take what you get. And luckily for us, like FIFA says there's a minimum court size and a maximum court size, and then an international court size. So things can like vary, but that is the bare minimum court size allowed.
So. You got to look into that for handball, because the same situation. The courts vary, obviously, because we got to make do with what we have. But one exception, I think, to the Seoul futsal arena, I think, is Lansing City FC, or the Lansing club.
They did. Jeremy Kleppel, the owner there, he's done an amazing job with his club, just building it up from nothing. And they did finally get into that arena. And I know they had some setbacks with like, oh, we have to wait for like coding and getting, like like not certificates, but like the walkthroughs and like everything approved,
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they're probably having a really hard time approving or certifying everything because they don't really know like what it is. So, but he's done an amazing job. We didn't get to go up there this season because of COVID, so I still have yet to see it. Akron, they have like a multi-court or like a multi-use arena that they actually refurbished from Goodyear. So they have an amazing spot, and they have like a bigger, more international size futsal court laid down with the lines down there. So it's coming, surely but slowly. It is coming, and I think more and more of these, alternative sport venues are going to be around. It's not going to be all turf. That's just, I have people reach out to me all the time, and they're like, hey, I built this facility in Dublin or Powell or whatever suburb around here. And I'm like, well, we don't play on turf, so congratulations.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that's sweet. It's good to hear that. Even though it's growing slowly, it's growing exponentially faster than handball.
Yes.
That's
yes.
How are you guys able to like fill up these gyms for games? Is it mostly word of mouth? Is it through marketing?
I'd say it's word of mouth. We were able to really build a large network of kids in our youth academy and our youth league. So our youth league has about 700 or 800 kids playing. So it's just like in-house marketing, or like, cross marketing, everything. Anybody that we're like in contact with or in touch with. We do a lot of like free clinics. So we've done free clinics for like Columbus Public Schools, Gahanna schools, Pickerington schools. We've done stuff with Hilliard Rec. We've done a ton of stuff with like nonprofits like OSU Life Sports. We're getting involved with After School All-Stars when school starts back up. So we just take our downtime and we get out there and we just say like, hey, this is a sport you might like this is a sport you might want to try. Let's try it. And just really getting them involved and engaged. And we've been really fortunate to be part of the Arnold Sports Festival, which is a huge platform to promote our sport on. And they're a really great group to be affiliated with because they want to be successful, but they want to help your sport and what you're passionate about be successful and have, anybody can try or get involved and say, hey, here's futsal, you might want to try it, or hey, here's handball, you might want to try this, or have you ever zip lined, or do you like Ninja Warrior courses? So they're really a really great group to be a part of, and they kind of make sure that they bring in people to try your sport and make it the best, that it can be. But I really think that using that downtime and just doing like all these free clinics and things really brings people out to the game. So we'll give away tickets at those events. And also, I think our online presence is pretty good. So we've been able to reach people online and, a fairly small fashion. We don't like do like crazy promotions or like put a lot of money behind like boost posts or events or things like that. But I just make sure that anytime I make a game event, like I invite all of our friends. And so they're getting those notifications. And even if they don't come, they might talk to a friend who attended and they'll be like, oh yeah, I get invited to those all the time. Or they might have gotten an invite for 3 years and then just decide, oh, I have nothing to do tonight, I'm going to check the futsal game out. So, but I really think that the product that it puts out is what draws people in. Like the actual product of the game, the emotions of the game, just being like emotionally attached to something that is that fast paced and that puts out that much entertainment. Just people really, really want to see it. And they're so close to the action, it's just like, I don't know, whenever we interview people like on Instagram Live or we're talking to people that have been out to the games, they're just like, there's not another experience like it. Like there really isn't.
Do not sit in the first 2 rows. It could get a little dicey. So
the splash zone.
It is. True. It really is.
Yeah, you're gonna get like splattered with sweat, and the referee running like, right in front of you. A ball like could pop up. So
experience.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. What's your vision? Like, what's the dream for your organization professionally as an entrepreneur? Where do you see it in 5 years, 10 years? What's the dream?
5 years, we definitely want. I wouldn't say that we'd be building like our own arena, because that's, those things are kind of hard to fill all the time and they don't really make money. But we're definitely kind of on track to get into our own training facility, get more kids involved. We're heavily putting in a lot of time and effort and resources to grow the girls' side, and just give them like a pathway out of this sport. So there isn't really any colleges in the United States that you can play as of right now for futsal, but you could go attend a college, abroad and play futsal there. So that's what I think one of the things that we're working toward is getting futsal involved in schools and pushing that up through the collegiate level so that these people that are putting in maybe 6-7 years in youth futsal, it doesn't just stop, like they love this. They want to keep doing it. They want to, be a part of something. But, so 5-year plan, I would say definitely training facility, the girls' side, and getting that pathway, into schools up to the collegiate level. 10 years, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I know, indefinitely, I want this club to eventually be 100 years in and be like, Manchester United or something.
Sweet.
Like just something like that that's been around and withstood like
the test of time
and has people like involved and just die hard for it. And my kids are gonna have it or sell it or whatever they want to do.
Grandkids.
So that's kind of like our end vision is we want this to be like the best futsal club in the world, maybe, if it ever gets to that. So yeah,
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome. I think those are the kind of goals that Joey and I have, but we're a couple steps behind still. Joey already claims his team as Handball City USA, so it's they were destined to host Open Nationals this year, which is the end of the season kind of shindig, and again, COVID kind of shut that down. But they're going to play at the what is it called? I want to call I every time it starts with a C. The Kobo facility, which is where they have the Detroit Auto Show. So it's going to be really cool. Joey did a great job of setting it all up just to get it shut down. So
maybe next year.
Yep. So, but yeah, the pathway is what just gets me super excited for you guys, and that's something that I want to touch quickly on. I guess is like, what is it if you have I know there's a couple kids in your program that are kind of on that Team USA route. What would you say is like the normal pathway from like a kid who's in your youth program for the next like maybe say 10 years of their futsal career? Like where do they end up, and what is like the end goal? What is the penultimate achievement for them?
Yeah, so the younger you start with futsal, it's kind of like the better. Just because you don't have a ton of like bad habits to break from like soccer or something like that. So like people can transition from futsal to soccer very easily. So a good futsal player can be a phenomenal soccer player, but a phenomenal soccer player cannot just step onto the futsal court knowing what they're doing. So you can't connect the dots backwards. So for us, I would say when you're starting in the futsal academy, start as young as you can, or whenever you become interested or think that, you have the physical attributes to be able to handle it. So typically that's around 5 or 6.
Oh boy.
You'll start getting down like the technique, learning like the fundamentals, which are completely different than soccer. But anyways, so you're going to start pretty young. And then when you become eligible, you can try out for an academy team, which we're one of 25 academies in the United States. And so when you're on that like academy level, then you're competing more regionally and nationally with the other futsal specific academies in the United States. You'll do a national showcase every summer, which actually coincides with the national ID tryouts. And you have to be, I think, 9 or 10 years old to try out for that. And what they do is they kind of do like a state level identification. And so they're going to scout and ID players there. Dante's on the staff. So at the Ohio State level, he will help identify and send invitations to kids for the national tryouts. And then he'll go to the national tryouts every summer and help identify players there. And I think like 500 or 600 kids attend national ID every summer, and only 12 are selected per team per age group. So for boys and girls. So it really narrows it down. And from there, they'll go compete internationally. And so some of our kids we've had in the past 3 years, we've been able to have 9 kids make it to the national team level, both boys and girls. And they've competed in Costa Rica, Canada, Portugal, or Spain. Portugal, Spain, I forget where else. There's somewhere else that I'm forgetting, but like 4 or 5 countries. Yeah. So after that, you're really looking at, okay, did this help me with soccer? Am I a far more superior soccer player, or I'm going to get like D1, scholarship, or where am I going to play in college? What opportunities do I have ahead of me? That people that might not have played futsal, like they don't have those opportunities, or going straight to pro. So we don't know. We haven't.
I'm going to hit pause because we're about to lose our Zoom real quick. So pause that thought. I'm going to end our call, join back, and we'll do a quick halftime break, everybody. Is that okay? Sure. Awesome. Perfect timing. All right, we're going to transition out here. I'm going to start us back up. I'd like to give a shout out to all our viewers on today's show. We got, this is probably the highest viewed show we have to date. Big shout out to Slay. We want to let him know that Flanders is on. And if anybody's interested in playing in the greatest handball tournament in North and South America, check out the Swim and Sport Club handball tournament. It's the weekend of August 1st through the 2nd. Any team is welcome to compete. and we are looking to bring home the title this year. The Columbus Armada finished third last year, going 6-1-1. Had a strong tournament, so we're looking to get a lot more people to come out. It's in Flanders, New Jersey. Just wanted to let everybody know about that, and we hope you guys can come. Give me another couple seconds here while I get everybody situated with our camera set up. As you guys know, Zoom can be both a blessing and a curse all at the same time. So we are just gonna keep cruising along here. Hope everybody's enjoying the show so far. If you got any questions, send them in the chat. If they're somewhat relevant, I will give you guys a shout out. I know Robbie's just in it to torment us, so I bet I actually said his name. So anyways, we're fortunate that both our guests are back on, so we're going to get right back to the show. Melissa was actually just finishing up her discussion about the collegiate pathway and if players are good enough that they could potentially go pro. So continue your train of thought. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So we don't really know what's going to happen at that stage because we haven't had any kids age out or age into that phase of futsal programming yet. But U.S. Soccer is actually like reinstating like the futsal team to compete in the World Cup. So like the U.S. national futsal team is back on the stage. They were supposed to qualify. My cat is meowing. I'm so sorry. They were supposed to qualify in Guatemala in May, and obviously that was, suspended because of COVID. And the World Cup was supposed to be in Lithuania, I think, this fall, and that's all postponed now until 2021. So we haven't had any kids like age into that part of the futsal scene, but we're eager to kind of see where that goes, and or even age into our own, pro team. So we're really, in the next
that 10-year path.
Next 3-4 years, there's going to be a ton of different possibilities.
Cool.
So yeah, we're really looking forward to it. But that's pretty much how it goes. We're training the kids on our youth academy. Hopefully they'll have more opportunities than what are available now with our pro team, and hopefully U.S. National futsal team makes it, to the global stage and starts winning some games against some of the other countries worldwide, and we'll kind of see where that goes.
Cool. Did you say that is USA, maybe I misinterpreted, but is USA Soccer kind of like the parent of USA Futsal? Or are they separate?
It's US Soccer.
Okay.
And US Soccer actually like sends the futsal team. So yeah, it is really interesting. There's so much gray area, and there's so many like internet debacles about this. Like, how can one governing body govern two sports? And it's just like, we really don't know, but we're trying. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but some of the other countries, like whatever they may have in Portugal, or like the governing body in Brazil, CBF, like they govern the national soccer team and the national futsal team too. So
there's some similarity, but there's still some gray. Okay.
Right. So
interesting.
I would prefer for like futsal just to be futsal because it is a sport in its own right. And I don't really like how it's meshed with soccer because it kind of waters it down. We'll see what the powers that be, may do for that. So futsal's only been involved with FIFA for like since the 80s or 90s. So not as long as like the sport of soccer has. So there's a lot that could change. And as more people involved at our level, or even regionally and nationally, I think we're kind of like the generation pioneering like those changes, or actually devising like, hey, this is futsal, it shouldn't be related with soccer, or things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of like on one of our earlier episodes. I think futsal and soccer are at least a little bit more similar than what Joey and I are proposing, that USA Team Handball by USA Rugby. So those would have been two very different entities being governed by one NGB, but I think soccer and futsal have a little bit more in common, but
Right. I know people are always like, "What's the difference?" And I'm like,
there's
a lot of difference. Yeah, there's a lot. It's just like American football and rugby, or baseball and cricket.
Yeah.
Like, you may look the same, you think they're doing the same thing, but there's a lot of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Or our handball and like,
oh my gosh,
the ball against the wall handball.
Yeah,
that grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Our goal is to one day eliminate the use of the word team and just handball, and it'll be very tough because there's such a strong, handball presence in Northeast, in the Northeast area, specifically like streets of Brooklyn and harbors and like places, piers and stuff like that. Like a lot of military guys just kind of play that killing time, I guess. So a lot of history with that.
Is the difference of team handball and handball?
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Oh, holy cow. So basically, like, what would they call like American handball is you can play singles, doubles, four wall, three wall, one wall, I guess. So you're just slapping.
So like arena soccer, where you're playing on turf with walls, and you could just pass it to yourself.
But this has it's just you slapping the ball against the wall. That's it. Like it's a ball's like a little, it's like a racquetball, like a little rubber, small bouncy ball, and you just slap it against the wall. That. Yeah. So there's literally nothing in common besides there's a ball in your hand, and that's pretty much it. So, but we face, that's the never-ending dilemma we face on a regular basis. Like, oh yeah, I remember I used to play handball back at the club back in the day. I can give you one of my gloves if you want. And I'm like, no, sorry, it's not the same.
No, we run into that all the time too with like arena soccer, which is like turf with like the boards and stuff like that. And they're like, no, I played futsal, and we're like, no, you didn't.
Right.
No,
nope.
It's not the same, or like people just see futsal as a buzzword, and they're like, oh, we're doing futsal training, or we have this, and it's somebody that's totally uneducated in the sport, and those kids or those parents or whatever will come to us, or fans or whoever, and they'll be like, I've seen futsal play before. I played futsal. And we're like, really, where? And we're like, it wasn't futsal. So yeah, I totally get the handball thing. Then.
To the struggle.
We had a comment in the chat, Joey, which you might be able to attest to. They asked, what is the best handball team in the U.S.? It's from Zeke ZD. Don't know who Zeke Detroit is. I told him specifically not Detroit. So we'll see if there's anybody else jumping in. But I know our friends over at New York City would say that they are, and they would make sure to list off their entire resume. So that's that. But Joey, what other questions you got? Because I'm ready to rapid fire here.
Yeah, I guess the big one, Melissa, that me and JD are really antsy to hear is like, what's your advice for a couple of entrepreneurs and sort of the niche sports arena? Like, we're just getting started. There's basically no infrastructure for the sport aside from our friendship and our friendship with other clubs. What kind of advice do you got for us to get handball to where you guys are today?
I know it's cliche, but if it's your passion and you're willing to do it for free and you just absolutely love what you do, like, you won't ever feel like you're working. It won't feel like you're really working.
That's what I tell my wife.
And I think I'm serious, because it doesn't feel like that in the moment. And there's been like so many moments where you're just like banging your head against the wall. Like, why isn't this working? Why don't I have what I want? Why isn't it happening? But you can only like connect the dots backwards. You can only see, like, after you've come so far, all those little steps that you had to go through to get where you even are today. But I would say the number one thing that like I do is I spend hours, countless hours just researching stuff and learning new skills, new capabilities, but just researching our sport, or even not even our sport, maybe other sports, or researching like just human nature, like how do humans interact with each other, or researching marketing, researching sponsors and their companies, and is that a good fit? I think I spend more time researching what we're going to do and like strategic planning than actually doing what we do. Because I don't coach or anything like that. So I'm kind of like the back office, like the thankless job. But just also don't like listen to people that you wouldn't really take advice from. I had people that come up to me all the time or send me an email.
Like, you should do this.
This was like that, and this was that. And I'm just like, well, that's great. But like, this is my thing. And this is what we want to do. And it's our vision. And we're going to do it the way that we want to do it. So just don't let people like talk you down. And, you know, you're going to spend a lot more time working in 5 or 10 years, but it'll be well worth it at the end of 10 years. Like I had a meeting last week and it was something simple like at my bank because we were setting up more stuff for like our nonprofit. And I went to a banker that I know that I hadn't gone to before, but I just know him from like futsal and he has kids and things like that. And I was just sitting there and I'm like, gosh, like I had this person on pedestal. I thought they had so much money and such a great job and like all this stuff because they're older and they live in a great neighborhood. And I'm just sitting there watching him like work and set this up for me. And I'm like, well, he might like have more money than us now, you know what I mean? But he has no freedom. He has no freedom. So like just knowing that I had that freedom to like be there and be doing whatever I wanted to do because we're like doing our passion and we're working hard. And that was like the first time I think I ever felt that like I have my freedom over anybody else. And we have like a lot of mistakes that we have to go through when learning how to do this, but we also have a lot of benefits. So it's just, you're never going to believe it until you actually go through it. It's crazy.
Man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that gets me fired up right now.
I'm ready to take the plunge here. So I'm getting there. We're getting close. We're definitely getting close. So
yeah, I think you've done a great job, JD. Like seeing you at the Arnold meetings and just knowing that you guys were just playing at Ohio State and doing like the open tournaments and things like that. And then I saw you like in Europe this past fall, was it?
And spring. I went twice, so it was a busy time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to travel. Dante does. Dante gets to, but like, you know, when you get to start doing those things, opportunities start opening up, or you learn so much just from that experience, you know? Just like I would go gain the experience to work under somebody or see futsal in another country. Like you wouldn't even have to pay me. Like I would just go do it just for my own knowledge and just to be, when you get to go do those experiences, you bring them back to your baby or like your club, your neighborhood, your community, and you instill what you learned, you know, that worked for them. And you just grow exponentially.
Yeah, I
think put a price on that.
Right, exactly. I try to tell my guys all the time, and then Joey is, you know, he's a man that you know, walks the walk here, because I always wanted to take a year off of school or right before I started work and just go, you know, play a season of pro handball, and I just never did. And Joey, you know, he was able to do that in Denmark, and I think it's a really cool opportunity. And I think the big thing that I take away, and you guys have created a futsal culture that has some similarities and some differences, but it's something that if you guys go to your game, like you said, it'd be similar to what you see at an international game. You go to a handball game here, people don't know what they're watching. They don't know when to cheer. Like, I would think that a goal is a goal. That would be obvious, but it's, I don't know. Nobody cheers because they're just like, I don't know. Like,
there's no atmosphere.
Good? It's just silent.
Yeah.
So it's very
the
tough
atmosphere
to create.
or like cultivating that enthusiasm and building like that futsal culture has just been, honestly, like I get goosebumps sometimes when I walk into one of our games. I'm just like, I can't believe that they're all here because of us.
Yeah.
You know, like I really can't believe it. And the culture, that's been like the most rewarding part, really. But it's crazy. We're so thankful that like we built the youth opportunities here, and that those families and those people are coming to the games, and they've stuck with it for a couple of years because they actually have now become educated on the rules or like how the game is played.
Right.
So they know that when they're watching it, they know that that was an excellent block or an excellent play or a great save or, a fabulous goal that was really, well earned. And so I'm so, so thankful for them that they have just been with us through all of this for years, because we wouldn't have that atmosphere if it wasn't for them learning this game and just trusting us like with nothing, at the very beginning, and just going all in and sticking with it. And so that atmosphere would not be there without them, for sure.
We need to, the other, it's probably easier for you guys having, and this is the same conversation we had with our guest from last week, Martin. He had kids, and that's kind of what helped him get into that middle school, elementary scene to help start some youth leagues. And you guys having quite a couple, 3 younger kids, right? I think 4 boys. Oh man! So you got your hands full.
We're like a Peruvian Italian family, man. Like they are just big. Like
yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But my point is that you guys have kids, and it helps ease that kind of transition, I think, into the school. So that's where Joey and I. It's a little bit tougher. We're trying to figure out how to go into those schools, and I've done clinics with Boy Scouts, and I've done summer camps like Camp Recce and things like that. And, that's where I learned how to play handball, was at just a kid's summer camp. And I was one of the kids that continued playing it. But, keeping those opportunities for those kids to continue having the chance to play is the key part, so they don't forget. And that's, I just need to have like an 8-year-old that I just like lives in my house with me, like as my adopted child, basically. So my wife's always poking me like, when's kids time? And I'm like, all right, we'll get there. So
JD and Melissa, I'm the oldest of 5 brothers, and I'm living at home. So if either of you want a couple of them, feel free.
Right.
I think Melissa's got her hands full. So.
Yeah, dude. Like I live in a house with 5 boys. And my husband and like our 4 kids. I'm like
Dante's big.
And then I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So it's mostly all boys.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Holy cow. One thing I wanted to ask a question on. Sorry, that was a poor segue on my part here. I know you guys had a big partnership with Roma. Could you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's something that we could parallel pretty well with in handball. I know Joey's been, trying to find some clubs for Detroit to partner with, and I think that Columbus could do something similar as well. And just how that kind of relationship started and what the progress and potential is for that.
Yeah, that honestly was something I was really against at first, because it was like, why do we need to attach something we've built and we've spent so much time on? Why do we need to attach it to like an international brand or an international team? Like, does that show that we're weak and we need them? So I was really against it. And then there are some good things that came about it, but we decided to do it and just see how it went. And actually, Lorenzo Ventura, number 17 on our team, he came from AS Roma to come play with us for the season. So to get him, have that connection and have that opportunity to get him on loan and him be such a key player on our team this season, it was completely worth it. We didn't really get down into the partnership where the youth sector could do their exchanges and things like that, but that's always something that we can plan for in the future, or that we are planning and want to do. Eventually we want to see that grow to where some of the AS Roma youth teams can come to compete at the Arnold. So there are still a lot of things going on with that. We're still fairly young in that partnership, but I would say it was definitely worth doing the research and diving into, just simply by having Lorenzo there and having that connection. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
We got a couple comments here in the chat. So first, Joey, this is directed towards you, that people are saying that the Twitter poll was fixed. So we'll touch
I saw
upon
that, man. Oh.
Did you see the video? Because the video was glorious. Oh man.
Cats don't lie.
Yeah.
Bulls don't lie. Hey.
CJ wants to know if Columbus Armada is going to partner with PSG. We will. I'll talk to my good friend Nikola Karabatic and Luke Avila. We'll see about that. But CJ wants to know, Melissa, if any of the Columbus futsal players are paid, and if you're allowed to disclose said information. You do not have to say how much, but just if there's any.
We're obviously in a semi-pro stance with our league. Our league is technically like semi-pro. So some of the guys do get paid, some of them don't. If you're a coach, for us and you play on the team, you obviously have a better earnings. But obviously we have to put a lot of resources in pulling those players from Brazil or like from Roma or whatever. So pay isn't great right now,
you need another
but the
job.
Experience is worth it. Yeah. So some of them get paid. Okay. Some of them don't. As we gain more and more sponsors and, we're on like a bigger stage, like a bigger venue, I think all that stuff will start coming 360 as we start getting our own like homegrown youth players, up to that level. There's still a lot of room for growth. There's still a lot of things. I mean, we've been fortunate enough that, we've been able to provide some opportunities for players to come here abroad. So one step at a time, but yeah, some of them are paid, some of them aren't.
Cool.
And I think that's kind of like how most of our region is, how most of our league is. There's 10 teams in our league, and I know that we're kind of like all in that same stance where it's just a semi-pro atmosphere right now.
Could you talk a little bit more about the league and like that player transfer situation? Like, how do you recruit guys, or how do you convince people to come to Columbus? And then how do you kind of schedule games? I know I asked a bunch of questions there, but the league format's something that Joey and I are very interested in. We're trying to start with Ryan Peterson, a little initiative we like to call the Great Lakes Challenge Cup. So, it's kind of a larger region to work with. You guys have a pretty, I would say, fortunate between Cincinnati, Columbus, I think Indy, Akron.
Well, Cincinnati's not in yet. Oh. They're going to be they're supposed to be an expansion team this coming season.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. But anyways, you got a good region to work with for easy travel, so that helps.
Yeah, I would say by far, like, the Midwest or the Great Lakes, whatever you want to call it, is the most robust region for futsal right now. Cool. Or the people that have had the endurance to stick it out and kind of create these things and build these things. So the NFPL, or the National Futsal Premier League, is actually like the 4th league that we've played in. So a lot of them have been like 1 year and fold, or we kind of switch because it's been a growing and learning process for everybody. But so our league right now has 10 teams, and that's divided into 2 divisions, like an East and a West, but it's still like the Great Lakes area. I know that's going to be expanding in 2021, so we're excited to kind of see where that goes. One of the leagues that we played in was actually Major League Futsal, and we traveled to like the East Coast for that. So like we had teams competing between like New York and Chicago, and I think there were about 10 teams that time too. So there's been, just you got it again, like the funding, like there's not like people just like throwing their money at futsal teams right now. So I'm sure the same is like for handball. Yep. So you really have to find an owner, find a club that is like, yeah, I'm not cutting myself a paycheck. I'm just trying to grow my club. And so what you'll find with like Lansing and things like that, like the people that really want to see this take off and really want to grow, like Lansing has been in every single league that we've been in. So that's been nice. Like Grand Rapids, ABK, they've participated in every single league that we've been in. So just seeing people work together collectively to grow it for the greater good really helps provide that like league infrastructure, and that just so it's more protected. There's more of like a safety net, if we're all succeeding and we're all helping each other succeed, then it's going to work out, because we can't be so selfish that we're like, oh, I'm not going to share this with you, I'm not going to share that with you, or what I learned, or because if your neighboring club or your neighboring city isn't succeeding, then you're not going to have a league. You're not going to have anybody to compete against. So yes, we're competitors, but I'd say at the end of the day, and I've told people this like 100 times, at the end of the day, we're all colleagues, because we're all trying to grow the same thing.
Preach. My friend Patrick, who's back in Sweden, probably not watching right now, he would 100% agree with you on that. That's something that he and I, down with the club in Cincinnati, have been trying to grow a good off the court kind of rapport to try to help understand that, hey, we're all kind of in the same fight here, so we can duke it out on the court, but at the end of the day, like, we need each other to make this happen. So that's perfectly said on your part. So cool.
I think I've like created some forums and some like groups of just like club owners where we really can pull our resources. Like, so if one club went through something and they have like legal advice, or another club went through something and they have like advice on like insurance that you need, or another club went through something and they have, a good uniform connection, or if we all pull our resources, each club is spending less money like discovering those things on their own. And so, which obviously you can keep that money and keep growing your club or pay your league fees or whatever. But another thing is like referee development is huge. There weren't just people in the United States that can just automatically know how to ref futsal. So I'm sure the same is like with handball.
Oh yes.
But yeah, the thing I think you said, how were we pulling like international players, and I think we really had an attractive product online where like anybody can view or anybody can watch or anybody can become a fan. And so just naturally futsal is like a small world, and you just start knowing people and creating connections. But I think like we just really created like an attractive product that people want to be a part of. But come play in America or learn English or just things like that is just, maybe it's not all about futsal. It's just some step or milestone that they want to take in their life. So it really hasn't been that difficult or that much of a challenge for us.
Wow, that's crazy to hear. I mean, Jim Gottfriedson was joking about playing for the Pittsburgh Pivots, but we are now going to try to beef up our online presence like you guys to try to bring him to the Armada. I know Joey's got, he's a one-man show up there in Detroit, and he's done a really good job of, creating a good online presence as opposed to Max, who's been slacking.
Detroit has a good sports scene, man. They got a lot of history, So I think there's so many futsal clubs up in Michigan. It's crazy, but I'm like, you guys don't have an MLS team, so
thank goodness.
There's more. There's more people willing to go watch futsal, I guess.
There you go.
But I know even like the lower division soccer up there, it's phenomenal in Detroit. My brother goes all the time. He loves the atmosphere there. He loves like the supporters there. And,
it's awesome. If you ever get the chance, I would highly, highly, highly recommend checking out. It's Detroit City FC. I think they're NPSL or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the group of supporters is now. I think it's like GS6 or something.
Northern Guard.
What is it?
The Northern Guard.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
The Northern Guard
loves that stuff.
Helped Joey beat us in our Twitter poll, so they're newfound handball fans. So that's great. Go ahead, Joey.
Oh no, you go ahead, Joey.
No, I was just gonna say we're trying to create some good partnerships here with different sports and different local communities to try to bridge the gap, because people just don't know about handball, and I think a platform like this allows us to kind of connect two sports that people didn't know about together. So in a sense, doubling our efforts to new fan bases. So I think, I personally, I'd love to commit to getting a futsal season ticket just because I feel like it'd be super cool and I love going to the games. But the problem is I have my own handball games to go to about the same times usually. So
same season, isn't it?
Right. Well, the problem, that's another different story, but just figuring out when we should be playing handball, because playing all year is gets time consuming, and sometimes that could be a turnoff. But we love playing handball, so we're gonna make it available to those that want to go out and make it happen. So go ahead,
Joey. When we first started like putting up the goals and getting games playing and playing in a league, everybody was like, "Oh, you got to partner with basketball. People will love this in basketball." And I'm just like, basketball is so busy. Like, do you know how hard it is to get into hey, can we come play before your basketball game? They're like, no, right? We're setting up, and stuff. And so I think maybe like the futsal handball thing has more of a correlation.
I agree.
And less strict whatever, to abide by. And I think that's a good thing that could happen.
I feel like it almost, for me personally with handball, I feel like it cheapens it when people say, "Oh, we should just play after NBA games," or like nothing against that, or like we should just be a sideshow to the NBA. No, handball's cool. Let us do our own thing, and futsal's cool as well. But
I mean, look at the scene that pickleball has made in the United States. Yeah. I'm like, if pickleball can do it, futsal can do it. Okay.
I was watching
handball can do it
on ESPN today. Cornhole on the main ESPN.
Isn't that crazy?
The land of opportunity. I tell you what.
Pickleball
can't wait
is
for the day where futsal and handball is on ESPN.
Joey, you have no idea like what Melissa and I go through with the pickleball people at the Arnold.
Yes.
They come in with matching tracksuits. They're probably, I don't know, it's like a 60-plus-year-old couple, and they have their matching, USA pickleball tracksuits. And I swear he said last year they're gonna have ESPN streaming it.
They did. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to interrupt you. Yes, they had ESPN there.
What? Like the target audience is like 50 plus. Like
I know.
What am I missing here? And I talked with somebody. I think I talked with somebody that was a little bit older than me. He was probably like early 30s, and he got injured in something, so he started playing pickleball. And he's like, I love pickleball. I just whoop on all these old people because they can't move. And I was like, come on, man. Like
that,
geez.
You honestly should probably interview somebody from USA Pickleball, because I don't know how they've done it.
We're gonna put it on the list. We're putting it on the list. All
and like a part of me is like, wait, I can't rent this gym because you have what? Pickleball? I didn't even know what it was.
Oh
gosh. Yeah, maybe they have like, some time into the rough secret that we all need to know.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Especially the ESPN thing.
Yeah. Like, how?
Right.
So, crazy. I think that kind of wraps up a lot of my questions. Joey, you got anything? I know I got another 10-minute timer on our Zoom call, so we got 7 minutes left.
You're my new superhero. This was incredibly inspiring. You and what your husband.
It's a real life story. Like, it's not fake. Like, this is real. So
you guys are superheroes in my mind. I am like energized 1,000 times after this conversation, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch as we move forward. And once you guys are back to playing, I will be at the game for sure. But thank you for your generosity, for all the work you've done, and thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and we hope to see you at a game.
Absolutely.
Or see you in Detroit. We play a lot in Michigan, so
you got an away supporter right there. So
it'll be the only time I cheer for Ohio.
Right.
Oh man, the beef lives on. The beef lives on.
Does.
Well, Melissa, thanks for coming on the show. For our guests, I'm going to put up a little slide on the next, once we end here, that you guys can check out all their social media information. They have a fantastic website. They have a great Instagram account, like posting content very regularly. You'll always be entertained. Always some great shots. Like she said, the East of the Bend guys are out there taking pictures, doing video, doing really good stuff. So it's really cool to watch and be a part of. So it's been very cool for me just watching you guys grow. I always brag to people all the time about futsal and how I need to, be like futsal, to the point where my coworkers have created Futsal Friday polos that they wear. Oh my
gosh, yes, that was so funny.
So yeah, there's a lot of great things going on out there. So thank you again for coming on today, and hopefully this was a good experience for everybody. This is actually our most watched stream yet to date. So making it happen. So thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys.
Awesome. All right, well, take care, everybody, And as always, keep shooting, shooters. Man, that was great. Melissa, thank you very much. That was good. I actually have what'd you say, number 17? He was the guy from Roma. I have him on our little slide here. So
yes, he was. Yep.
so, and then the girl, the youth girl, she's on the national team, the goalie. I always see you guys posting about her. So that's cool.
Yeah, Audrey's been really, I mean, she started with us when she was like 11, but she's just had phenomenal success. Like, she's gotten to play everywhere, meet like the best of the best in the futsal world. And so, like, what I'm talking about, like, when you like intersect in somebody's life and you like change their life, like, it's just been amazing watching her. So she's 16 now, so we're like, all right, what's next? You know, like, Audrey, where are you going? What's happening? So she really wants to go play in Europe, so keep following her.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, send me the links or whatever, and I'll share it out. Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Nice meeting you, Joey.
Nice